obviously every token issuer, every project wants their token in the hands of as many people as possible. And when this really picks up steam, as Garcia just said, it's going to drive a tremendous amount of volume and open up, the user base, the holders for your token 10, 20, 50x, right?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of WagMe TV. We have a super important one for you guys today. We're covering some key news around the new Coinbase Smart Wallet, which is looking like it's going to be a huge catalyst for the Aerodrome price and Aerodrome as a project. So we definitely want to get this update out to you, get you all caught up on what's going on. And first, we're going to kick it over to Zoe to talk about what Coinbase Smart Wallet is and kind of the future there.
Absolutely. Thanks for the intro, Sia. Guys, this is, I think one of the most slept on narratives, one of the most slept on catalysts for the entire base ecosystem. And as we've talked about over the last few weeks, Aerodrome is the proxy for the base ecosystem. It is the complete beta play, and one that stands to benefit a ton from this new introduction. So I want to take you guys through first what the smart wallet announcement actually is. So let's go over here and we can see, introducing the smart wallet. So this is going to be a completely game-changing kind of infrastructure play that Coinbase has released. Basically, it's going to be the easiest wallet to use for anyone to get on-chain, off-chain, with a blink of an eye, basically. Super simple. Not having to deal with any sort of the clunkiness that Web3 is kind of introduced, where you have to use a centralized exchange and then port your funds over to a wallet and remember the seed phrase and do all the stuff that's just very unnatural. What this is going to be is it's going to streamline the entire thing and make it super easy, super fast, and super cheap to operate on chain. So let's go and take a look at some of the benefits. As mentioned, obviously it's going to be super easy to integrate. You obviously want to see that for a wallet, super easy to integrate with any sort of decentralized application or anything like that. The other thing is, this is, I think, the biggest key, is easy access to your Coinbase balances. Now, keep in mind, this is revolutionary in the world of Web3, right? Right now, people either go on Coinbase and, they buy some crypto, maybe they buy some Ethereum or something like that, and 99% of people stop right there. They don't venture on into the world of decentralized applications. What this is going to do is make it super simple for them to do that, because they can just spend their Coinbase balances directly on Coinbase while doing this, not having to deal with an external wallet. Super simple, super simple. And then, of course, the easy onboarding and the simplified gas experience, meaning it's going to be very cheap, very easy to use. So this is just kind of an overview of what the smart wallet is. They announced it just last week, and it's going to be in testnet for a couple of months before it goes live. And we really think this is going to be a massive tailwind for the base ecosystem and for Aerodrome in particular. So we're going to take it over to look at some of the statistics of the testnet and kind of the user base that this product is gaining thus far. So I'll throw it over to Ev to talk about that.
Yeah, and just to pop in here really quickly, I mean, we talk about it extensively, like over the last couple of years, about how difficult it is for people to actually get into a lot of these systems. That was one of the things that we talked about with Base specifically, is if they can really grab that Web 2 group and make this as easy as possible to start using these decentralized applications, that's going to mean the world, and it's going to be so much more adoption, right? You're going to have more users, you're going to have more developers flocking to that area, right? I think it really is, it can really be a big catalyst for this. And as someone who, I wouldn't say like a venture too far out, right? Like I have used MetaMask and things like that. This excites me, right? Because I am one of those people who maybe hasn't reached as far as, for example, Soham or Evan have in the space, right? So it is, even for me, right, as someone who is fairly involved in the space, this is really exciting. I can only imagine what this news can do for folks that potentially aren't even involved or are slightly involved to Soham's perspective as well. So I think it could be huge, and I love that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think this is going to help so many people, but also so many different personas. And like you called out there, the fact that developers have easy access to those Coinbase users via the Coinbase smart wallet. And so, yeah, really what we wanted to go through here was just in the first week of the Coinbase smart wallet only being available to test nets, we already have seen Base become the outright leader of where users are creating their smart wallets. And so here we have on Dune a graph of all of the Coinbase smart wallets that have been created in the last week. Like we said, it's only in testnet right now. They're going to be doing a full quarter of just testnet usage before they send it out to GA. But we already see 99%, if not more, of the smart wallets being created on the Base network. And as we've talked about in previous videos, this is really because that integration between Coinbase and the Base network is going to be extremely closely tied in the future user experience. And so these are already very dramatic numbers showing the amount of usage that Base could really be capturing in the future once it goes GA after this quarter. And so, yeah, diving into it, we see just right around 4,000 Coinbase smart wallets being created in the first week. Obviously, Base is the main network that those are being created on. And it's, really parabolic growth just in that first week. So I think this is something that we should keep coming back to see how much this feature is going to be used in the future. And, we talked about it, but I just wanted to hammer home, the reason that this integration is going to be so key to users is because Coinbase is not able to list all of the tokens that they want to. In a previous episode, we actually covered this lawsuit between the SEC and Coinbase, and essentially the SEC sued Coinbase because they were offering Solana, I think Polygon, Cardano, and a few other cryptos, and the SEC saw those as unregistered securities. So, obviously this lawsuit is still ongoing, but it's got major implications for the types of tokens that Coinbase can house or sell on the main app versus, now they're able to onboard their users onto the Base network where they can swap with a decentralized exchange like Aerodrome Finance, that chief liquidity hub on Base to be able to get into those other tokens. So, interested to hear you guys' thoughts because I think that dramatic usage of the Coinbase wallet is super bullish for Base.
Yeah, and I think it's not just bullish for Base, right? It's bullish for any of the protocols that are going to be heavily used on Base, right? And so I think obviously, Aerodrome and Uniswap are 1 and 2. So, even if Aerodrome, going back to how this could be a catalyst, even if Aerodrome picks up a smaller percentage of the cut of the volume that comes over, and let's say Uniswap takes a majority, that's still going to be a lot of net volume that's going to be coming through, and Aerodrome's going to be in high demand. And obviously we know what that means in terms of potential price action as well. So I'm excited to see it. It seems like it's going to get more, notoriety kind of naturally as these folks use Coinbase Smart Wallet and Base Network more.
Yeah, the other thing that I want to add to that, in the last few episodes, we've talked about the value of the Aerodrome ecosystem comes from the projects that also, get involved and, list their tokens on there and get involved in the VE Aero tokenomics. Now, obviously, every token issuer, every project wants their token in the hands of as many people as possible. And when this really picks up steam, as Garcia just said, it's going to drive a tremendous amount of volume and open up, the user base, the holders for your token 10, 20, 50x, right? And I could see that really continuing once, this wallet picks up some steam.
I think that's fantastic. I think that's exactly, kind of that view that we're all sharing on this. I think with that in mind, Mata, do we want to hop into some TA and see some of the key levels of where the Aero token is at right now?
Yeah, totally. I think it's really just an update of some of the conversations we've had in the past. I mean, look, guys, like this is one of the big things that we talk about with Aerodrome all the time, right? Base doesn't itself have a token or a coin, right? So Aero really can be that proxy for Base moving forward. So again, it's been a little bit of a rough I guess 2 weeks or so, right? Obviously, last Friday, crypto saw a lot of downside, which was tough to see. But again, we see ourselves coming back into this range that we see as our really key support here. So again, if you've been kind of accumulating throughout this period, hopefully you're set up for a pretty good upside move here, especially as Base continues to get more users and folks go towards kind of that centralized liquidity hub that is Aerodrome on Base, right? A couple things that I have been looking at is this smaller trend line right here, which is really interesting to see. We are actually right on it, right? So we might not even make it down. We could potentially have a wick down to some of these areas, but we might not even make it down to some of these really key support areas, especially if Base continues to do well. Again, this is going to depend, as it always does, on Bitcoin. It's going to depend on the greater market. It's going to depend on, Jerome Powell and what the Fed has to say, right? So there's a lot of pieces that go into this, but purely from a technical perspective and playing the probabilities, it feels like we're a little bit due for a bounce. The other thing that I've been looking at is really just the Fibonacci levels here. So typically these occur in nature, right? You typically see certain retraces or pushes up. And so if you actually take from the absolute peak that we had down to some of the very lows, right, when Aerodrome started out, we are quite literally at the 382 Fibonacci level, right? So typically we're going to see a bounce. Obviously, we saw some pretty good bounces here, recently in May, right around this line, right? We haven't actually closed below this in a long, long time. So that's another piece that we're really starting to look into when we're diving into this. So it feels like we're ready for a little bit of a bounce, which is super exciting. And then again, it's going to depend on a couple different factors, but the chart is looking fairly good. And we're really just consolidating in this range as we've kind of talked about before. So
obviously we've been keeping up with this, and it seems like once again we're retracing, and we have a big week coming up with the FOMC meeting. Whether we keep interest rate hikes or interest rates at the same level or decide to cut them, that's going to have a huge impact on crypto. So it's funny how these tokens always kind of retreat to those key levels when you have big events like that coming up in the near future.
Yeah, we all hope it's good news, right? I think in the long run, right, if you look at Aero as that proxy for Base and you believe in the Base chain, this is probably one of those good things to really start looking into, no matter what happens in the short term, right? Obviously, we're doing technical analysis from a short term perspective, but if you really believe in the program, I feel like it's a good time to really start getting into it. Of course, not financial advice, nothing that we would necessarily recommend to you all, but definitely something that we're all looking at very, very closely as Base continues to chug and do really well.
100%. I think to your point, right? Long-term wise, I think the proxy argument for Aero and Base is great. And obviously if we can line it up with a good couple of FOMC meetings, then, we're looking real good. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. Like we love putting out Aero updates for all you guys. Love seeing all the comments and recommendations in terms of what you guys want to see, what your thoughts are on Aero. So keep those coming. We love that. We read every single one. And like, comment, subscribe if you guys want the regular updates. We're going to give it to you straight and keep you guys updated. So until next week, wag me.